So, hey guys, I'm just quickly doing a video on the process of dearmoring with the Cervix Serpent from Yoni Pleasure Palace. So, a lot of my clients get recommended this tool to support them in dearmoring their internal vaginal landscape. So, the process of dearmoring is the combination of the physical, emotional, and energetic release of tension, trauma that is stagnating within the tissue. And it presents much like we would when we feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. It manifests as points of tension within the tissue, within the fascia. And we can use a tool like this Cervix Serpent as an internal massage tool. So, if you were self-massaging with some device that's not this, you might get a tool that helps you massage and release tension. We're doing the same process internal. When it comes to the release of tension in the vaginal canal, we are very much working on the emotion body as well. So the vaginal canal, being that it is internal, being that it is often unseen, it is a piece of our anatomy that holds and stores a lot of our personal shame, our sense of unworthiness, about the things that come up in our life when we're feeling maybe lesser than, maybe with feeling unseen, unheard, unmet, but shaming ourselves for that. And so when we begin to massage the vaginal canal, it can bring that up. It can also bring up the emotional, the full spectrum of emotions, because we could also be hitting points that are directly connected to trauma, whether that's sexual trauma, whether that is birth trauma, whether it is consent-based trauma. So where we have said yes to things when we actually meant no because of some kind of belief system, societal conditioning, where we needed to perform a certain way to be seen as having value, of having worth, and maybe there's a good girl trauma in there as well. So when I say the word trauma, I am talking about the full spectrum of everything from physical impact related trauma to conditional, maybe cultural, maybe religious related trauma that might not be related to a physical act, but it is related to an underlying belief system that has kept us disconnected from truly understanding our consent and allowing us to say yes when we mean no, right? It's a disconnect related trauma, right? And in this day and age, the word trauma is it's used a lot. And I'm referring to the full spectrum of that, because when you are massaging within the vaginal canal, you're going to experience waves of emotion. And just like we're talking about the full spectrum of what trauma means, we're talking about the full spectrum of emotions, right? Without labeling anything good or bad, anything that needs to be moved through, noticed, and given permission to be seen and heard can potentially move through you. So don't be surprised if there's tears, or if there's anger, if there's yelling, if there's laughter. Give it permission to exist, because part of the reason it's potentially stuck and locked in as tension in the tissue is because it hasn't felt safe to be expressed. So when you are dearmoring, do so at a time when you feel like you have the capacity to safely hold yourself through whatever moves through you. And you can hold yourself safely by choosing time, like a time and space where you've got time and space. Maybe you do a full body touch massage ritual first. Maybe you've got some beautiful intentional essential oils that you've anointed yourself in, or that are diffusing in the room. You might have a softly lit room with candlelight. You're quite literally romancing yourself, for want of a better word, through this experience, so that your nervous system feels like it has the capacity to hold whatever comes up without judging it, without needing to go, oh, that's too, shadowy. We shouldn't go there. So once you do have this tool, you'll notice there is the bulbous kind of end and the tail end with the point. This is the end we use for the dearmoring. So I've got my fake vaginal opening here. You want to use this like it is it's like a lever, right? So you pop that into the vaginal opening, just let it sit there. I'm just going to open my hand so you can see what that would look like. Just let it sit, let the vagina just notice that something is taking up space within, okay? And then just slowly, wherever feels right, it might feel right at the top, it might feel right to start down on the area that sits between the anal canal and the vaginal canal. This is the A spot. You might start that. You might start on like a side wall, right? And you're just doing these tiny little circles. And then if you want to increase pressure, you lever it, right? Less pressure, more pressure. These little dots. And you can see, I'm not putting a lot of pressure in there, or I could put a lot of pressure. So what you do is you just massage, and every now and then you might hit a spot where you're like, ooh, that's tender. Pause and hold. Don't do circles. Don't lever to add pressure. Just go, I've noticed this. Pause. You want to give that noticing permission to be noticed. Actively doing your breath. So noticing if you can breathe the breath as if you're directing it into that place of noticing, and then almost like you can take whatever that is without labeling it, right, and breathe it out. So whenever you notice like ooh, just press and hold. A minimum of 3 breaths is my advice to you. And it's up to you. Follow that intuition. Does it want massage? Does it want pressure? Does it just want more hold? Or does it want to completely move on, right? Being that this is quite thin, when you get to the area, the back of the vaginal canal where you hit the cervix, so let's now pretend this is the cervix, you can come in beneath the cervix as well. Now beneath the cervix is the deepest, darkest parts of us, right? And I'm not judging that as good or bad. It's just the parts of ourselves where we've really shoved it down. We've suppressed it to the point where we might not even fully be aware of what we've actually shoved down, because it doesn't fit within our landscape of how we seek approval from others, how we have learnt to be loved and accepted, and the parts of us that we've gone, oh, well, that part's not acceptable, shove it on down, right? So that all sits in the P spot, the posterior spot, which is this beautiful little crescent moon space beneath the cervix. So massaging in here could be really conducive to some emotion rising. What you don't want to do is you don't want to, so the top of the cervix looks like this. You don't want to go within the cervix. You just want to go around, and you can go around as well. So you don't move this as if it's going on this. You move it right around. So what's at the top, you're moving it around to the wall. You're moving it around to the base. You're moving it around to the side wall and back up again. So this stays in movement. You're not going like this, right? You're literally moving this around. You can go in as deep as is comfortable, right? The process of dearmoring is not a one and done experience, and this is why I recommend this as a tool for my clients, because whether they actually come for the full yoni mapping session or not, dearmoring is such a powerful self-care practice. And all of my yoni massage clients do get this as a recommended tool to acquire, because one yoni massage is going to set things in motion, but the way in which you take self-responsibility for your own self-care, your own process of re-meeting those edges, of holding that space, of rewiring your capacity to hold yourself through the discomfort, through the unpacking of the stagnation within the tissue and the emotions attached to that. The more you can hold that for yourself, the more you actually can begin to really start to quantum leap life. Because it's not, a practitioner should never bottleneck it. And I don't desire to do that or be that for my clients. I will hold a really powerful session of awakening and remembrance. But there's no point you just going, oh, that was a nice experience with Joe, or, oh, okay, when I feel that way, I'll come back to Joe. I don't want that for my clients. I want them to remember. I want them to be like, yes, this is what it feels like to be in my sensual power. I remember now that pleasure gets to be prioritized in my life. When I leave and life happens, they get to meet that with self-responsibility. I'm not going to be there to yoni massage them every day, but dearmoring can be a really beautiful way for them to keep holding that space for themselves. So the Cervix Serpent is a great tool. Now, it's also a sex toy, so it can be used obviously for the full pleasure journey. We've got beautiful ridged edges here, which feel really nice over the clitoris. That full bulbous surface area is really nice inserted, especially when you then do the levering against the Skene's gland and the G-spot, which enjoys pressure more than friction. The clitoris is more the friction, right? So you've got this whole tool here which can be used in intentional dearmoring, and if the dearmoring process feels like it's going to naturally move towards pleasure and arousal, and you want to keep following that wave, then you can also continue to use this tool for the full experience right through to pleasure and climax, if that is where the journey is taking you. And sometimes it won't, and sometimes it will. So other tool I recommend is the Sacred Squirter. So because of the girth in this and the counter levering as well, this is a really good tool for anybody who's definitely wanting to explore and see what their body is capable of in regards to squirting, because of how girthy and stimulating it is on the Skene's gland and the G-spot. So if I'm using words that are unfamiliar to you, then reach out, because you need to come and take my Anatomy of Pleasure workshop, because that will give you the language, and it will give you the know-how on how to do self-mapping experiences as well. So that is the Cervix Serpent. It's available through Yoni Pleasure Palace. If there are no links, if you're watching a video and there's no links easy to find, just send me a message and I will link you to Yoni Pleasure Palace, and I will give you my affiliate code, which will save you 10% as well. So that's how you use the Cervix Serpent. If you've got more questions about yoni mapping, yoni massage, dearmoring, all of those things, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'm a library of knowledge and information, and I do not shy away from any conversation at all. It's all very welcome in my space. So reach out and I will absolutely assist you. And if I can't, I'll probably know where to direct you so you can get the support that you need or that you're looking for. All right. Thanks, guys. I'll chat to you soon. Bye.